Hey y'all, it's Lindsey and I have a low carb dressing recipe for you today. I explained in my appetizer video last Tuesday that Claire and I got to chatting about various things for Thanksgiving, and we talked about appetizers, and then we also talked about side dishes, which can be very, very tricky on a Trim Healthy Mama way of eating if you're ill prepared. So as Claire and I were brainstorming, I thought about doing some green bean bundles, but then it occurred to me that one of my most favorite Thanksgiving side dishes is actually the dressing, and my grandmother's dressing to be exact. But grandma's recipe is not exactly Trim Healthy Mama friendly. It uses bagged stuffing mix that she then does stuff to make it into her dressing. It's delicious, but it is not Trim Healthy Mama friendly. I got to thinking about it and I decided that I would recreate my grandma's dressing recipe and make it Trim Healthy Mama friendly. Claire is also going to be sharing with us a Trim Healthy Mama friendly side dish for your Thanksgiving table. I'm gonna leave the link to her video over here in the iCards. I really hope that you will click on it. Go check out her video as soon as you're done watching this one. All right, first things first, you're going to need some kind of crouton, stuffing, bread, something. And I decided to make the wonderful white blender bread as my bread base. So let me show you how I baked this up.
If you have seen any of my previous food prep videos where I show wonderful white blender bread, you know that I do not like making this in the blender. Instead, I prefer to use my immersion blender, and this time I'll be using my whisk attachment. And I, generally speaking, like to double, even possibly triple the amount of the xanthan gum in this recipe, just to really help the structure of those egg whites stay nice and together and firm and not fall flat whenever I pull this out of the oven. I also very rarely follow a recipe the same way twice, and because I only have half a cup of my Greek yogurt this time, I'm going to use the other half of the cottage cheese, or rather I will use cottage cheese for the other half. And I'm also not going to use the full volume of baking blend, and instead I'm substituting out 1/4 cup with the oat fiber. Once it's all mixed up, I'm going to spray my 9 by 13 inch pan, and I'm going to smooth my batter into this pan as evenly as possible. I really like the offset spatula to do this because it really gets everything pushed to the sides nicely without getting my hands all dirty. And I am going to follow the recipe as far as temperature and bake time. And this is what I have been left with, and as you can see, it's stuck. Even though I sprayed it with my olive oil, it just did not want to come out of this pan. So instead of tearing it to pieces, I decided to go ahead and just cut it out of the pan with my knife. Now it's coming out. So what we're going to do is we're going to cube this bread into crouton sizes. It's really a personal choice as to how large or small you make your pieces. I made them roughly a 1/2 inch square. This is also much easier to do once the bread is fully cooled. It seems to hold together a lot better than it does whenever it's fresh out of the oven. Also, you can tell Lauren liked it because she kept snitching little cubes of bread. Now that it's all cubed up, we're going to turn it into croutons. On a parchment-lined baking sheet, I'm going to put about half of these cubes. I'm going to spray them lightly with some olive oil, and then I'm going to bake them at 350 degrees for about 17 minutes. You want to make sure to toss these around about every 5 minutes or so to ensure they don't burn. And then we're going to store these in the freezer until we're ready to make the dressing.
Now that we have our bread base, we're ready to make our dressing.
Let's get this turkey sausage browning first. This is 1 pound of breakfast turkey sausage. You can really use any kind of sausage you like. This is what I had in the freezer, so this is what I decided to use. Then we're going to work on our vegetables. I'm going to dice up 3 stalks of celery. And it doesn't need to be a fine dice, just a dice. Next, let's work on our onion. This is a really large onion, so I'm only going to use half of it, and I will also dice this. Now, because I'm using turkey sausage, it has a lower fat content than pork sausage, so I'm not really going to drain any of the fat. I'm going to add my celery and my onions. And I'm going to let this cook on the stove until those onions start to turn translucent. About 15 minutes later, we're ready for the stuffing. We're gonna break up 1 egg, and we're going to grab out our breadcrumbs that we made out of that wonderful white blender bread. These are not frozen right now, so that makes it a lot easier to work with. We're going to add in the sausage and veggie mixture, and we're going to kind of toss this all together. It's probably best to use your hands on this so that you can really get everything thoroughly mixed. And then we're going to add in about 2 cups of chicken stock. You're really wanting this to be very well moisturized, just because it doesn't hold together the same way that a traditional dressing would. It needs a lot of extra moisture. We're going to bake this at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes until the top is nice and brown and it's cooked all the way through. You do want to be careful that you don't let this go for too long, because that wonderful white blender bread can really burn quickly. And as you can see, it is much more crumbly than what most dressings are, just because of the fact that that wonderful white blender bread doesn't behave exactly like bread in a dressing recipe.
So now we have some dressing. I'm very excited to taste this. I call it dressing because it's baked in a casserole dish, not baked inside of your bird. So I always call stuffing what you put in the bird and dressing what you don't. Nomenclature. It's fun. Let's give this a try. So this is a fantastic substitute for sure. I like it a lot. I think you must use more chicken stock whenever you're making it with Trim Healthy Mama Wonderful White Blender Bread, because it doesn't absorb the liquid the same way that a traditional crouton or traditional bread stuffing would absorb the liquid. It doesn't hold together quite the same way that my grandma's always did, but again, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that it is Wonderful White Blender Bread and not an actual bread. One thing that this is heavy on is the protein, so I would try to keep it to about a 1 cup serving, and it's gonna make a fantastic side dish to your turkey or to your green bean casserole or your sweet potato mash, or however you choose to complement the rest of your Thanksgiving dinner. And I am gonna go finish this because it's delicious. I do think some turkey gravy on top of this would be top notch. For sure, yes. This is one of my side dishes for our Thanksgiving meal this year, and I really hope that you will give it a try and let me know what you think in the comments down below. Again, Claire's channel is linked down below. I have her video linked down below as well. I really hope that you will go check hers out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.